In this video, we are going back to our summer visits to Virginia Beach, Virginia, to show you 3 museums along the boardwalk at the beach that we checked out this year. These were all interesting and great places to enjoy a few minutes in the air conditioning. Even better, the first 2 museums were free. And we will be joined by some friends for the 3rd museum, which was a pretty unique experience. The first museum is located inside a 1903 life-saving station used by the Coast Guard, and before that, by the Coast Guard's predecessor, the U.S. Life-Saving Service. We have another video where we toured an old life-saving service building in the Outer Banks. It gives full details of the history of life-saving stations, so we'll only briefly mention those here. We'll put a link to that video in the description and at the end of this episode. This historic building with the traditional life-saving station watchtower houses the Virginia Beach Surf and Rescue Museum, located along the boardwalk near 24th Street. The yard around this building has old ship carts, some of which were found in shipwrecks. And there's a replica of the surf boat used in rescuing people from shipwrecks when this life-saving station was active.
This museum has exhibits regarding topics related to the area's coastal heritage, such as surfing, for example. The exhibits show the evolution of surfboards over the decades and display pieces of the surfing culture in Virginia Beach. There are also exhibits about weather events and rip currents in the area and the shipwrecks they've caused over the years. Which is what brings us to the display about saving lives during shipwrecks off the coast. The exhibits will teach you all about the faking box and the Lyle gun and the breeches buoy, all of which were life-saving tools used during a shipwreck rescue. But if you can't make it to this museum, these tools of the life-saving trade are all explained in the previously mentioned video we did about the life-saving station you can tour on Hatteras Island in the Outer Banks, which we will provide a link for at the end. You should know that the Virginia Beach Surf and Rescue Museum is currently closed for renovation. But if you visit Virginia Beach over the next few months while it's closed, you can make an appointment for a free tour during the renovation using the Events and Programs tab of their website, and they will do their best to give you a tour while you're in town. The next museum, also free, is the Atlantic Wildfowl Heritage Museum, located along the boardwalk at 12th Street.
Housed in the oldest remaining structure on the Virginia Beach oceanfront, Atlantic Wildfowl Heritage Museum was created to preserve and display the wildfowl art, carvings, photographs, and artifacts by the Back Bay Wildfowl Guild. In the first floor, you can see a collection of decorative carvings as well as decoys that were created by carvers and used by hunters in the region. In fact, the museum has carvers on site several times a week to demonstrate the wildfowl arts. There are some guns as well on display, including this barrel from a punt gun, a 19th century shotgun used in commercial harvesting that was so huge it could fire a pound of shot and kill over 50 birds at once. This picture gives you an idea of how big it was. They were mounted on boats as they were too big to hold and shoot. One end of the exhibit is decorated to look like the living area of a hunt club of the past in the Back Bay area of Virginia Beach or the Currituck Sound of North Carolina. we're told that many of the artifacts on display here are changed out annually so that other collections can be displayed and so that visitors can come once a year and see something new every time. Upstairs is an area that traces the history of tourism in the region through photographs. As well as other areas of life such as recreation and worship, as well as transportation and accommodation. All of this is housed in the DeWitt Cottage, the first brick building built at the oceanfront. Its 14-inch thick outer walls has protected it in the face of hurricanes and nor'easters since 1905. It was built by Virginia Beach's first mayor, who later sold it to the DeWitt family, for whom the cottage is named. You can tour Katrine DeWitt's bedroom. I'm not sure how much of the stuff in the room actually belonged to the DeWitt family, or if it's just recreated to look like Katrine's room. Katrine grew up in the house and became a teacher. Her brother, Peter DeWitt's hollow wooden surfboard, built in the 1930s, is hanging on the wall in the hallway. Peter was a lifeguard at the beach and went on to become one of the early judges in the East Coast Surfing Championship, which is still held annually in Virginia Beach. The DeWitts sold their home in 1988 to the city of Virginia Beach with two stipulations. One was that the home would remain named the DeWitt Cottage, and that the home would be maintained as a cultural center in perpetuity, so it cannot be torn down and replaced with another oceanfront hotel.
For our next museum, we were joined by our friends and Virginia Beach natives, Charles and Melissa. If you're a longtime viewer, you may remember they were in a number of our videos before as they traveled to Orlando with us in late 2020. We'll share a link to some of their previous adventures with us at the end of this video as well. They've been busy since then, adding a daughter to their family. And since this video was filmed, their second daughter has been born just within the last few weeks as well. They joined us to visit Lost Planet, a selfie museum that opened a couple years ago on Atlantic Avenue near 20th Street. It was created by the owners of Nightmare Mansion, a fun year-round haunted house just down the street. Not only does Lost Planet feature a selfie museum, but they also have a mirror maze, which we did not film. But we will show you a few highlights from Lost Planet. Even the stairways and hallways were decorated and trippy. Along the way, you can pose for pics for the gram in a jungle scene or with monsters. Or you can even be a DJ. Hold on, we got distracted by old school video games. There's also an intimidating-looking tree, overseeing a foam pit, which Charles gracefully slid into. There are blacklight paintings that you can pose in front of. Charles danced to the jukebox in a very strange diner scene. We ended up in a room with a large beating heart, which people could actually crawl into and leave messages on post-it notes for future explorers to read. We didn't show you everything here. There were secret passageways, there's a blacklight bungee cord maze. In all, there's about 20 different scenes for you to interact with and pose before you get to the grand finale, the full moon room. Say what you will about the Lost Planet's selfie experience, they definitely created an explosive end. After leaving out the VIP exit, you find yourself in a parking lot, where we paused in front of a mural on a building next door to ask Charles what he liked about this experience.
I like the butt room. It's kind of cool when you walk in there. Like, I definitely like the neon vibe. I'm big on neon anyway. And it's real cool. It's interactive. My daughter might not share the same sentiments. I don't know how much of her you're going to see in this, but yeah, she was kind of, she wasn't feeling it. But I thought it was amazing.
She did seem a little scared.
Yeah, it was the neon strings in the dark room. Like, it was cool, man. Like, it was definitely a vibe. Like, I would definitely come back, you know, probably try to sneak a professional camera in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, get some photos. So I think it'd be good, like, if you want to come do, like, a photo shoot, if you just want to come see it. Or if you just want to walk through the floors, man. Like, it's definitely cool.
Lost Planet costs $16 per person for the selfie experience, only $12 for kids 12 and under. If you want to do the mirror maze at Lost Planet, that is $12 per person. The other two museums are free, but accept donations to support their work. All three museums mentioned here are on the small side. Each of them could be done in about 30 minutes or so. If you read all of the historical placards at the first two museums, like us, you could spend a bit longer than that. Or if you get really into posing with friends and family at Lost Planet, that could last a bit longer too. Check out the links at the end of this video to see our visit to the Chickamaucomico Life-Saving Station in the Outer Banks, or to check out some of our previous adventures with Charles and Melissa. I'm Alice.
And I'm Jack.
Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so we can see you the next time we're traveling through.